Lisa Gollum here at Lisa Gollum Art, and let's get into it. So here on my channel, I just try to inspire and instruct a little bit and help you live your best inspired life. So today, I'm just creating some backgrounds, or you might say the beginnings of some abstract paintings. So in my three-stage process of creating abstracts, this would be stage one, called intuition. And let me tell you, I get into it. I like puns. Forgive me. I'm bad. So this is kind of like brainstorming with paint. I'm not thinking. I'm not trying to necessarily accomplish anything specific. I'm not trying to even make it pretty. I'm just doing whatever satisfies me in the moment. And just letting go. Hence, the intuitive stage of the process. I can analyze it and question things and make decisions a little later, more intentionally, but for now, I'm just having a good time. So I encourage you to try this. Right now I'm just moving the paint around, sort of to get the canvas all covered. Now I'm using a sponge because they're so much fun. So at this stage, your job is just to be inquisitive and innovative and just sort of using your instinct, create things that are interesting. See what I did there? Lots of I-N words for you today. I am a word nerd. So right about in this moment, I decided to have some fun with my water bottle. It's one of my favorite techniques. And you'll see in a few moments what you can do with drips. And I have used this technique a few times before, but I wanted to perfect it. So I'm thinking, in this moment, as I took this video, I was thinking, I'm gonna use water drips in all of these paintings and see if I can, figure out what the best way or my favorite way of using drips could possibly be. Open my mind up to the possibilities. The drippage, if you will. Aren't they cool? It's just so much fun to watch. Whether it turns out or not, in the moment of painting it, it's just so much fun. I just decided to grab a putty knife just to see what would happen if I dragged it through the wet paint. Just some straight lines and creating some movement and where I wanted the paint to go with my knife there. Again, I'm just playing, I'm not thinking. And here I am backtracking. I decided to rag some of that water off, that perhaps I overdid the spray a little bit. But we're still playing. So I'm going to keep going now. I'm going to drip into that more empty space that I created. Again, when I'm painting, I'm not thinking about all this. This is me doing a commentary after the fact and thinking, why do I think I did that? I'm not sure. So what you're seeing now is this is after I let it dry for a while. It kind of, where it was really wet, it just all ran into together and created a sort of light colored swamp in the middle there. So I did dab it a little bit. And now I'm moving around, like I said, doing the back and forth thing with that knife, which is basically just a cheap plastic putty knife that you can buy anywhere. I'm exploring straight lines right now. My work tends to be very what I call floopy, or more organic, with not a lot of straight edges. So often I'll use palette knives of different types or tools of different types to actually create a few straight lines, because that'll bring balance. So there's straight edges as well as organic edges. Now the most fun thing that I have done before, but I'd kind of forgotten about, is after you've sprayed and you've got drips and you've let them sit on the paint underneath for a little while, but they're not quite dried. Of course, the painting's not dry yet, but it's sort of a little dry, maybe 5 minutes or so, letting it, those water drips sit on top of the paint underneath. Then you just take a clean paper towel or rag and just set it on top and pat it a bit and lift it off. And what it does is everywhere there's a drip, it pulls that drip as well as some of the paint underneath the drip back off the painting and really lets those drips stand out as white lines. Because before you couldn't see them as well, and then now all of a sudden you'll be able to see all the areas that was wet, because the paint underneath the wet water didn't have a chance to dry, but the paint around it did. So you can pull off all that wet paint, and there's the end result. A background fun, and that's the first canvas that I did. Well, I'm gonna do some more. Now my process, I decided, is going to be similar for all of my experiments today. Just because the more you do something, the more you kind of find your groove. And not that you learn to do it better or right. You learn to do it your way. You learn to do it, you learn what you enjoy the most. And that's what art is all about, really. Learning to express what's uniquely your style. There we go with the water bottle again. I remember in this case, it occurred to me that Halloween is coming up, so I think I was trying to experiment with using darker colors as a background for this one. Now in the case with the dark colors, what I liked is then when you pat it off, those white lines really help the painting pop. Because before, this whole painting was very dark. But now with those interesting lines and splotches where the wet was, it just creates very interesting organic lines, which I kind of get excited about. Then I get to show you a close-up. I find it very interesting. But it's not a finished painting. It'll inspire something though. I just know it will. There's the final picture. And I hope you give this technique a little try. It's so much fun. Now, experiment number 3. I'm really in love with this fluorescent pink. I hope you notice. So the last one I used my fingers. This time I'm decided to use a palette knife to spread the paint around. Many different ways to move paint on a canvas. I love that fluorescent orange that we're achieving there. was time to add some blue. Still remember just playing. Now, of course, that blue and yellow is making a little bit of a grayish green. That's okay. I like it. Now I'm going back to that knife and just moving the paint around and creating interesting patterns with the knife. By the way, don't forget to hit that thumbs up button. Let me know if you're enjoying my content, if it's inspiring you at all. And I always welcome comments as well. I love to hear from you. Please let me know if you've given this a try, or if you'd like to, or if you have any questions. Don't be shy, just comment below. Oh, and if you haven't subscribed, what are you waiting for? Go for it. I am having so much fun right now with that palette knife. Actually, I think it's a putty knife. Those lines are so cool. But I bet the water bottle's coming out now. Look at that. I remembered. I'm really playing with drips in this one. Getting such neat drip patterns. Don't you love my dirty looking glass table underneath? I paint a little bit, so you know, things get messed up. There, I let that dry for a little bit. Now we're dabbing off those wet lines. Just love that effect. And really, if you love how this turns out, it can be a finished painting. For me, I like to develop them a little bit further, but you wouldn't really have to, because they're kind of cool just on their own. And there's the final result. I kind of like this one. one more experiment. This time I started just with a painting that I didn't like, that it was probably a background experiment, but I ended up not liking the color combination like at all. So I'm gonna cover it up. It's like a plant at this point, but it won't stay looking like that. I'm just loving that palette knife gliding through that wet paint. But now I'm grabbing a silicone blade, which is similar effect to a palette knife, but because of the way you hold it in your hand, you can get such interesting lines and patterns and wavy textures. It's just amazing. And now I thought I'd add some pure whites because it just felt like it needed it. Following my intuition. But as I said, I'm playing around with the drip idea. So even though this painting's already, I'm thinking, oh man, it's already really busy and nice, but no, I'm still gonna spray and I'm still gonna see what's gonna happen because I'm inquisitive. Again, don't forget to like and subscribe, and maybe hit the bell below so you won't miss any of the content that I'm putting up. And at this point, we're getting towards the end of this fourth experiment, which is probably my favorite of the four. Let me know in the comments which one is your favorite and what you think it could inspire moving forward, making these into paintings. And I promise I will make videos making each one of these into what I would call as a more intentional abstract creation. Peace and love, everyone.